This is another question that comes from, actually comes from an email response to our debate. There are more than 600,000 Pennsylvania residents in central PA counties without access to community college. The Susquehanna Valley Community Education Project has been spearheaded the initiative to establish a new PA community college that would be headquartered in Sunbury. As commissioners, you will have the rare opportunity to pioneer this vision into reality. What action will you take to sponsor this new community college, and what resources will you commit in order for it to succeed?
I'm all for that. If there's demand for such a campus, I mean, it kind of strikes me sort of like how it would sound to a resident of Shamokin, or to you guys if Shamokin would say, well, we want our own Triangle Tech. Shamokin has the Luzerne Area Community College, and I think primarily, again, talking about corporations compete and government should help in cooperation. None of these individual educational facilities would find it cost effective to help in student transport, but maybe we could get them working together, because I'm afraid that if we don't have enough demand, wouldn't it be great if that core could be reasonable to have a critical mass to make public transportation work for our communities. But I'm afraid if you don't help the people who have already invested in campuses in this area and maximize their investments, you might start losing the campuses who already have. You know, you don't want to cannibalize.
Yeah, me too.
This is my turn. Obviously, I am for the establishment of the community college. I'm actually the president of that organization that is working to establish it. So they must have thought I had a commitment to it, or they wouldn't have asked me to do that. I think that in terms of the demand, there were studies that were done that show that there is a demand and a need in this area for an institution like that. And to just differentiate it from when you see a branch campus or they offer some course offerings in one particular place, that type of a situation does not have the same kind of effect. Frankly, there could be a very positive economic impact on the area when you have a complete main campus that's going to have a multitude of different courses that are offered. And so I would be very much in support of dedicating resources, whether that be in kind or otherwise, but we'll need to take a look when we get in into what our situation is. We have a lot of other big things such as a prison that are on the horizon as well, but in kinds are something where we can maybe work.
Well, I'm sitting between two people on the board for the community college, and I've been a school teacher for 36 years, so you probably know my answer. Education is the backbone of any community. And you know, I don't know the cost of community college coming in here, but the more we can educate our young people and prepare them not only for what they go to school for, but later life, I think that's important in the progress of everything in our communities. But the only thing I would like to see is not only courses that are educational courses, academic courses. I think we need a lot of courses where we're also teaching vo-tech type things, plumbing, electrical, welding. I think those are the things, the jobs of the future. A lot of times people are going to college and aren't even getting jobs when they come out and are going back. I know one young man who went to Princeton, graduated, and came back and been a carpenter. So I think we need to offer those kinds of things also.
I am passionate about this project. I sit on the board with Rick Schock, and I'll tell you why we can't join with Luzerne. Luzerne occupies a space that the county commissioners decided some time ago to allow them to have rent-free, lease-free, utility-free. The thought was that they would put down roots and they would revitalize Shamokin and our county. That did not happen. We are forging through to create our own Northumberland County Community College. Whether it's called that or not, we want to create educational opportunities where our students aren't paying double tuition like they are in Luzerne, where the money stays in our county and doesn't go back to Luzerne County, where the money that comes in from the Department of Education doesn't go back to Luzerne County. It's invested right here in Northumberland County.
cornerstone and build from that. As they indicated there, as far as building off with our own community college, and we can move forward till we get to the point where we got the bricks and mortar happening. Then you turn around after that, you can work up into student housing. It's just a domino effect that's only good. And the way I understand it there with 2 young children getting ready to go here in a couple of years, I understand it's a lot cheaper. But no, I'm actually, I've been talking back and forth. I even attended one of their meetings, and it's very impressive in the direction it's going, and I would be fully supportive of it.
Community college, 2 years, and you can be something. Now, the idea is if you get those 2 years in some kind of trade, then you can go in business for yourself. But you have to know a little bit about the whole, how the business operates. And that's where you start off as a small business, and then you can start hiring people, and then as you start hiring people, you can expand. And that's how you bring the economy in this area, which we need, up to snuff. And other than that, I'm for it 100%.
It would be great if we could have a community college here. I think that one of the ways the county could encourage that is by offering lower taxes. To come back to that again. Another great thing that would be great if we had a community college is if they offered classes for local elected officials, because I think that's also needed. I think we should also look at something with online courses, because I think that's the way of the future is learning online. And I'd like to point out something that John had said earlier about the brain drain, about people going to college, getting educated, and getting out of Northumberland County and not coming back. We need to find a way to stop that from happening, and we need to lower taxes and make Northumberland County a place that people want to stay and build families and businesses in.
Northumberland County has not had a property tax reassessment since the 1970s. Please discuss your views on reassessment, whether or not you're in favor of it, whether you're in favor of looking into it, and why or why not.
Me, I think I certainly am in favor of looking into anything. I think that we should look at all ideas. The fact that we've gone as long as we have without a reassessment, certainly it warrants study. I do not know that I would commit to actually doing it, though. I think we need to look at what the impact would be on our current homeowners, our taxpayers, many of our elderly who are trying to stay in their homes. But certainly it warrants looking into, and that may also tell us, as we study it, when the appropriate time may be to do something like that, if at all.
I would be very much interested in doing a study, but the problem I have with the new tax assessment is, and I know in the Mount Carmel, Shamokin area, Milton area, and I'm probably in the Sunbury area also, people's houses might be assessed at $70,000, $80,000 that are half doubles in town, but when they try to sell them, they might get $10,000 or $15,000. And I just don't think that's fair. It would have to be an equitable way to do that. So, of course, I'd be interested in looking at it, but it would have to take into account those types of things, that the houses in the cities, in our main cities in our county, are not worth what they might be assessed at.
As the former solicitor for the Northumberland County Tax Assessment Office, I know very, very well the need. I understand the law. I have defended Northumberland County in lawsuits because it is so disproportionate to where it should be. With that said, in 2010, we did a study to see the impact, how much money it would cost to do this, and how much potential we would gain from doing it. And I have to tell you that the next 4 years are not the time to do this. It would cost anywhere between $6 to $8 million, and it simply shifts tax and a burden from one set of the population to another. I'm looking to Harrisburg. I want Harrisburg to make this more simplistic, and I don't want there to be a burden on an elderly couple where they've had their homestead, and now suddenly the burden shifted on them, which is 40% of our population here.
I took this stand in the past, said currently, absolutely not right now at this time. As indicated there, when I learned the numbers and the costs, that what it would be for us to get a reassessment and put in place there, and like as indicated, it's a shift of money right now. And currently, like I said, too many folks are just strapped up against it too hard. And as far as being put numbers on a house and what a return would be, it wouldn't be substantial. Thank you.
Boy, 6 to 8 million?
Yes, sir.
That's a hardship. I don't think I have that much in my checking account. I don't see where you do a reassessment right. But it's not, I don't think the county has enough money to do it. And to tax the people on top of that deal yet, and then get your taxes put up yet, after they reassess it, I think you're pretty poor. Chapter 11.
I agree.
I don't think reassessment is going to address the burden that property taxes place on the poor and the middle class and everybody. I don't think we need to look to Harrisburg. I think we need to look right here in Northumberland County to do all we can to reduce property taxes and one day eliminate them because they need to be eliminated. Nobody should risk losing their home over property taxes.
Exactly about losing a home. I mean, property taxes essentially end up making a citizen a renter from the state. You know, if you stop paying your rent, the county's going to come and take your home. I don't really consider that to be ownership. Taxes, to the extent possible, should be based sort of like user fees, like gasoline taxes. The more you drive, the heavier vehicle you drive, the more you use and damage the roads, the more you're going to pay to help fix the roads. And I think everything should be like that, again, to the extent possible. And certainly, regarding the expense of it, I do not see doing a reassessment until after at least the prisons pay it for me, to me, not at all, because I'm just not for property taxes as a principle.
No, I'm good. It's dealer's choice. We've heard a lot about change from all of you across this evening. What is your biggest concern, or what is the priority that you would pick as the one thing that you would like to change if you were in office, and what would that be? How would you do that?
Jennifer, you always give the hard questions, right? No.
I know.
No, here, change. What's our problem? We have, in our county, a morale problem. That's the problem. We have elected officials that don't really talk to each other much. We have department heads who are afraid to come up with ideas. We have employees that are in groups, and we're very divided as far as our county government. I think we even have citizens that when they leave our county and go into Union County or Columbia County and they're asked where they're from, sometimes they don't even feel like they want to say they're from Northumberland County. I think our problem is we need to bring pride back into our county. We need to have people that are working for our county government, that are not afraid to bring ideas up, and not afraid if they say something that they might be fired the next meeting. We need to have people who are willing to work together and compromise on things, and we need people that can go to work and then start enjoying what they're doing and putting forth an effort and have pride in what they're doing.
Revenue. I think we have a revenue problem in Northumberland County. Not that money fixes everything, but it sure goes a long way. It'll go a long way to boost morale because we'll be able to employ people and not cut our employees to the bone. How do we do that? We have to make our planning department larger, not a lot larger, but a few more people in there than one. We have to be proactive. We have to have a development capacity within our planning department that matches need with want. We have to go after every single grant. I looked up last year, there was an opportunity for over 3 million different types of grants, of which about 30 of them Northumberland County could have been eligible for and did not apply. Now something like that just bothers me. So revenue.
Participation. At the county level, we need to reach back and figure and work with the grassroots of the whole county, and that's our municipalities and our communities. We need to reach out and implement programs again. As far as years ago, when there was rodent programs, if there's any type of emergency programs that were put in place there, whether it be dealing with demolition or any catastrophe that comes your way. You know, the county has taken a back seat to that, and I think we need to address that because, you know, a county's nothing if it isn't made up with all the municipalities in it. And quite honestly, I've lived it and I've walked the walk. They're hurting for it. They're doing their best. They can run a day-to-day operations, but when the unexpected hits them, they're not ready for it. And I believe that's where we need to have a more effective county there that is ready to help them. Thank you.
Well, my biggest concern here in the city is actually redoing the courthouse. I think it's probably the best looking courthouse in the state of Pennsylvania, and I'd like to keep it looking that way, and it would also help the downtown area and all the businesses in this area. And I got some estimates, $200,000 to $250,000, and I think that would be a real good investment. You couldn't build a new one for that. Thank you.
I think prison reform, both in that we need to either repair or find a new prison, and in reducing the incarceration rates or using alternatives to incarceration. And you know, one thing we can do is stop putting people who commit victimless crimes in jail. We need to stop funding the arrests and prosecutions of people who violate the marijuana laws. And I think by utilizing these alternatives, we can save taxpayers money and accomplish the prison reform that's desperately needed since the prison code.
Well, one thing that would be low-hanging fruit to fix would be to improve the decorum and openness of the Commissioners Department. I mean, all we really have to do is behave as we should be able to expect the commissioners to behave, and that should fix that. I'd also restore, like I said, we want to restore the consent of the governed through jury nullification, sheriff interposition, constable interposition, which I don't have the time to get into here. And while I was on the campaign trail, I ran into 3 fairly high-level people in county government who had said that if we elect an independent enough board, they'll need names of corruption in the county. So obviously, I didn't just fall off the turnip truck. I don't know if they're just blowing smoke. These accusations that have to be, you know, found out to be true. But I just love to get some people's fingers out of the county cookie jar if that is the case.
The biggest single thing that I think needs to be addressed is something that I've talked about for the last 4 years, and that's a culture change in Northumberland County. And it's because it is the linchpin from which all of the other issues that we talk about up here tonight, from which they flow. You're not going to come up with the best solutions. You're not going to put your best face forward out to neighboring counties and other parts of the state until we change that culture. You know, Abraham Lincoln once said that most people can withstand adversity in one way or another, but if you want to truly test a person's character, give them power. And that power has been abused in this county for decades. What we see right now is nothing new. It's always been, for a long time, with some brief hiatuses, a 2-against-1 type mentality, and amassing power and pushing through an agenda without regard to what's really best for the county. That needs to end.
If you could each address whether you
agree with the effort to privatize the weatherization department, and if there are any other departments that you think should or should not be, under all circumstances, privatized for the county.
Absolutely not weatherization. Weatherization is nearly 100% funded from the state. Weatherization reaches out to some of the most vulnerable of our citizens, the elderly that can't afford heat, can't afford replacement windows, people with small children. We don't pay for it. We supervise and administrate it, absolutely. And none of our other human services as well. You see, when we take our oath, as I said before, that's our #1 responsibility is human services. That's not a business, it's a service.
Early on during the primary portion of this election, I was approached on that, and matter of fact, I believe every candidate at the time the Democrat and Republicans signed it, that they would jump on board to make sure that weatherization stayed in place. As said, it's for our most vulnerable county residents. So let's be part of it. And as far as other departments, you know, you turn around there, we gave transportation up there, that got privatized. Then we turned around with other portions of the county. And basically, we're just kicking our responsibility down the door. You know, because once you put it out there, now you're giving the responsibility to other people. So now what happens? You gotta wait for a contract to come around and you get rid of them? You know, you need to be there and do the services and what your taxpayers ask you to do for. And have responsibility for them and not point down the road that, oh, I have nothing to do with that. It's the responsibilities of the company we hired. Unfortunately, that's correct. If that's incorrect, it's all your responsibility.
Weatherization is very important to this county and every county in the state of Pennsylvania. We're in the northeast, we got cold weather, and if you don't have your home insulated, you know, 3 in the walls, 6 in the ceiling, you're in trouble. So, it's really how expensive is it, and what do you really save? And that's where the abbreviates come in, but I know they got in trouble here with the weatherization plan, and I don't want to discuss that, but I hate to do that. I hate to see it get up weatherization because I see so many people get windows replaced that actually, you know, the heat went right out the window. So if you're working on a job in somebody's house like that, weatherization is very, very important. You got more money to spend on food, more money to spend on anything else that you might need, gas for the car, insurance, but boy, when you put it pay to the utility, that's it.
I think we need to take a serious look to see if it would benefit economically to privatize it or not. And I believe, you know, our county is one of the only ones that hasn't privatized it. I mean, I think I'm right about that. But, you know, it goes back to even the thing about regionalization. It's important that we also make sure that the county keeps its full oversight and accountability to the voters of this county. And so I guess my answer is just we need to take a good hard look to see what the economics of privatizing it, what the effects of that would be.
Yeah, to go back to the original question, because I think half the answers here were, should it be eliminated or not? The question was, should it be privatized or not? And all privatization questions should be run through the metric of efficiencies of scale. Some things are going to be more efficient, like the 911 center to combine. Now, I'm not privy to the sort of information that I would need to really make a decision on that. I think Ed's right. I believe only 2 counties haven't privatized their weatherization, but have you ever heard the old saying, you know, if all your friends jump off a cliff, would you too? We have no idea if those decisions were based on something that was specific to their county, or maybe those decisions were made for bad reasons. But we, I definitely would be open to looking to the claims that the privatized weatherization departments are more effective for the dollar, and will do what's right for the citizens of the county to get more windows replaced for the same dollar, maybe possibly.
Anybody who's read the newspaper accounts regarding weatherization knows that I was against privatizing them. I've been a champion of that group and have tried to help them to work their way through some of the issues that they have with DCD. That's a process that we're continuing to do to make sure that they get the funding that they need for the future. That was, again, one of those types of decisions I think was motivated more by other factors than it was by any concern about trying to save money, whether it be for us or at the state level. And in terms of privatization of other departments, it was brought up previously about privatization of human services. I think that when you start to introduce privatization, which introduces a profit motive into human services, that's a slippery slope, because these are basic services that we need to provide to the people in our community to raise our entire community and to have a certain level of living within the community. I think that when you introduce privatization and a profit motive, you start to lose control of that, and other issues come into play, which would supersede the desire to improve the lives of the people in this county.
The last question for everybody that's giving them is closing.
Okay, I'll make it short and sweet. Weatherization, no. And any other department, unless someone could really convince me, and that would take a lot to do, the answer is also no.
There are 7 of you, and there's a lot of combinations for a future board. Provided that your party wins, who would you like to see as the 3rd candidate on your board? And for Bill, I guess you have your pick of the litter.
No, this is simple. I'm going with Bill since you left it out. You're up, Bill.
Yeah, because they're using light. It is a tough one because these people seem so darn smart. It's tough. I don't know. I think I know Rick Schock for a long time, and Rick Schock is probably have to pick Rick.